The sky above the city shimmered with the glow of distant stars, yet none of them were natural. Each light was a floating drone, keeping watch over the people below. The city of Lumion was one of the last human settlements left after the great expansion into the outer colonies. Among the shining towers and hovering cars lived a simple man named Ryan. He worked as a maintenance technician, fixing the machines that everyone else took for granted. Ryan's life was quiet. He had no family left and spent his evenings repairing small devices in his tiny apartment. He was not famous, not powerful, and not rich, but he had something most people had lost: a curious mind. He loved reading about old legends, especially ones about creatures that once lived between worlds. His favorite was the story of the Succubi, ancient beings said to draw energy from emotions but also capable of granting human wishes in rare moments of kindness. One stormy night, Ryan was repairing a broken energy converter in a deserted part of the city. The rain poured hard and the wind howled between metal walls. As he adjusted a loose wire, a sudden flash of blue light surrounded him. The converter sparked and exploded in a silent burst of energy. When the light faded, Ryan found himself standing in complete stillness. The rain had frozen mid-air, each droplet hanging like glass beads. Then, from the glowing core of the damaged converter, a figure appeared. She had long silver hair that shimmered like water under light, and eyes that glowed faintly pink. Her presence was warm and calm yet powerful. She looked around with confusion, as if she had awakened after a long sleep. Ryan stared, speechless. The woman's attire was made of strange material that seemed alive, softly pulsing with light. Her voice was gentle when she finally spoke. "Human, your energy awakened me," she said. "I am Cirrus, once known as a succubus. You have called me into your world by accident." Ryan blinked in disbelief. "A succubus? That's impossible. You're from old legends." Cirrus smiled faintly. "Legends often come from truths forgotten. I was sealed within this machine centuries ago by your ancestors. You unknowingly freed me. For that I must grant you 3 gifts." Ryan took a step back. 3 gifts? "I didn't mean to release you. It was just an accident." Cirrus tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Intent does not matter. The act itself holds power. You may ask for 3 things, anything within my ability, and I will grant them." The frozen rain began to fall again, returning the world to motion. Ryan's mind raced. A being from another realm offering him gifts sounded like something from the stories he used to read as a child. He wondered if he was dreaming or if the explosion had knocked him unconscious. But the cold rain on his skin and the glowing eyes before him felt too real. He looked at her again. "You really mean anything?" "Anything that does not harm another living soul," Cirrus replied. "That is the rule of balance I must follow." Ryan thought for a long moment. He could have asked for wealth, fame, or power. But he didn't care for those things. What he truly wanted was understanding, knowledge of the universe that had always been hidden from ordinary people like him. He took a deep breath. "My first wish. I want to see the world the way you do. I want to understand the energy you sense, the patterns you read, and how you see life itself." Cirrus's eyes widened slightly. A soft pink glow appeared on her cheeks, almost like a blush. "That is unexpected," she said quietly. "Humans often wish for material things, not perception." Ryan smiled. "Maybe I'm just different." She hesitated, as if embarrassed by his calm tone. "Very well. But I warn you, seeing the world through my eyes may change how you think forever." "I'm ready," he said firmly. Cirrus stepped closer, placing her hand gently on his forehead. Her touch was warm, and a wave of soft light spread from her fingers. The world around Ryan began to shift. The metal walls glowed faintly with invisible lines. The air shimmered with colors he had never seen before. Every object, every drop of rain seemed alive with hidden energy. He gasped as he looked at his own hands. Streams of light flowed through his veins, connecting to the air around him. The machines nearby pulsed like living things, each breathing in rhythm with unseen forces. "This is what I see," Cirrus said softly. "The living pattern that connects all matter. You now share a glimpse of it." Ryan turned in wonder. "It's beautiful. It's like the world is alive." Cirrus nodded slowly, still blushing faintly. "You are the first human to ask for something so pure. You wish not to gain but to understand. That is rare." Ryan smiled again. Thank you, Saris. I never imagined I'd experience something like this. For the first time, her calm expression softened into something almost shy. It has been long since I met a human who looked at the world with wonder. Perhaps your kind has not changed as much as I thought. A soft silence filled the air. The rain had stopped and the clouds began to part. The two stood there, the faint hum of machines echoing around them. Finally, Saris spoke again. You still have 2 wishes left, Ryan, but remember, each gift will shape your path. The balance of what you ask will always return to you in another form. Ryan nodded. I'll think carefully before asking. She looked at him curiously. Most humans rush to claim their desires. You are calm even after seeing beyond your own senses. Why? He chuckled lightly. Maybe because I've learned patience from fixing broken machines. You can't force something to work, you understand it first. Saris gave a small, approving smile. You speak like one who listens to the world. That may be why it chose you to awaken me. Ryan frowned slightly. The world chose me? She nodded. Energy moves with intent, not chance. There are no true accidents. Her words lingered in his mind as she began to fade slightly, her form turning more transparent. I must rest now. The link between realms drains my strength. When you are ready for your next wish, call my name where we first met. And with that, she vanished in a burst of gentle light. Ryan stood alone in the silent alley, the converter still sparking faintly beside him. He looked up at the sky where stars had begun to peek through the clouds. His mind was filled with wonder, and his vision still glimmered faintly with hidden energy. He didn't fully understand what had just happened, but one thing was clear. His life had changed forever. The world no longer looked ordinary. Every machine, every flicker of light seemed to whisper secrets he had never noticed before. As he walked home through the quiet streets of Lumion, Ryan smiled to himself. Somewhere beyond sight, a being from another realm had blushed at his request, and he wondered what that meant for the days to come. Ryan woke up the next morning with the memory of Saris still fresh in his mind. For a few seconds he wondered if it had all been a dream. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw it. The world still shimmered faintly with soft lights and flowing patterns. The walls of his small apartment glowed with traces of energy, and even the air felt alive. He stood up slowly, feeling a strange warmth around him. Every sound was clearer, every color brighter. When he placed his hand on his old service robot, he could see the movement of energy inside it, like glowing rivers keeping it alive. He smiled softly. So it was real, he whispered. As he prepared for work, he noticed that machines seemed to respond to him differently. When he walked into the repair center where he worked, the doors opened before he even touched the panel. His coworker Mira looked at him in surprise. Ryan, you're early today. That's a first, Ryan smiled. Couldn't sleep much. Thought I'd get a head start. He began working on a damaged hover drone, but something unexpected happened. Without using any tool, he could sense exactly where the problem was. The energy inside the machine flickered unevenly, and by simply adjusting the wires in a certain pattern, the drone came back to life instantly. Mira's eyes widened. How did you do that? We've been trying to fix that drone for 2 days. Ryan shrugged lightly. Just lucky, I guess, but deep inside he knew it wasn't luck. It was the gift Saris had given him. He could see the living patterns in machines, understand their rhythm, and bring them back into harmony. The feeling was incredible, but it also made him wonder about Saris herself. Who was she really, and why had she blushed at his request? After work, he returned to the same deserted street where he had met her. The broken energy converter was still there, faintly glowing. The rain had washed away most of the debris, but the air still carried a strange energy. He stood quietly, then spoke softly. Saris, can you hear me? For a moment, nothing happened. Then the air rippled with a soft pink glow. The light gathered, forming the shape of the silver-haired being once again. Her eyes opened slowly and a gentle smile touched her lips. You called me, Ryan? He nodded. I wanted to thank you again. The way I see things now, it's like I can understand everything that breathes energy. Machines talk to me in their own way. Saris tilted her head with interest. Then the bond is working well. You are adapting faster than I expected. Ryan looked at her closely. She seemed more human than before. Her expression softer, her tone warmer. You look different today, he said without thinking. A faint color appeared on her cheeks again. I am still the same. Perhaps your new vision lets you see what was always there. Ryan smiled. Maybe that's true. They stood in silence for a while, the night wind blowing gently between the towers. Then Sarah spoke again. You still have 2 gifts to claim. Have you decided on your second wish? Ryan hesitated. I've been thinking about that. I don't want something that brings harm or greed, but maybe I want something that helps others, not just me. Sarah's eyes glowed brighter. Then speak your desire and I shall see if it can be done. He took a deep breath. I want to give power back to humans, the kind of connection that helps them understand technology, not be controlled by it. Machines have taken over every part of our lives and people stopped trying to understand how they work. I want to give them awareness again, a way to see the world's energy like I do. Sarah's expression turned serious. That is a wish of great weight. To awaken awareness in many minds at once is no small act. Are you sure you understand what you are asking? Ryan nodded. Yes. I think humanity lost something important when they stopped learning how things truly work. Maybe if they could see like I do, they would start caring again. For a moment, Sarah said nothing. Then she raised her hand, and a ring of soft light surrounded Ryan. The world around them darkened as if the city lights had dimmed to let her power flow freely. I can share a fragment of your sight with others, she said, but such balance demands something in return. You must guide those who awaken. If they fall into confusion or fear, the energy may twist. Will you take that responsibility? I will, Ryan said firmly. Sarah nodded once. Then it shall be done. She touched his chest gently and a pulse of warm light spread outward. The glow reached the streets, the walls, and the sky, vanishing into the distance like ripples in water. Ryan could feel it spread far beyond his reach, like thousands of small sparks igniting across the city. When the light faded, Sarah looked tired but peaceful. It is done. Some will begin to sense what you sense, not all at once, but soon. You have changed the flow of thought in this city. Ryan could already feel it. In nearby streets, he could hear people murmuring in wonder, noticing faint glimmers in the air. A child pointed at the sky, claiming to see lights that weren't there before. For the first time, the humans of Lumion were glimpsing the hidden beauty of the world. Rian turned to Sarah with quiet awe. You really did it, she gave a soft smile. No, Ryan, we did it. Your wish shaped the energy. I only guided it. He could see that she was weaker now, her glow dimmer. You need rest again, don't you? She nodded slowly. The balance between our worlds takes strength from me each time I use my gift. But I do not regret it. You are the first human in centuries to ask not for gain, but for growth. Rian looked at her kindly. Maybe because I've seen how much we've lost by chasing only what's easy. Sarah smiled faintly. You speak like one who understands hearts as well as machines. They stood side by side, watching as the city below began to sparkle faintly with new light. People were gathering in streets, touching walls and looking at the patterns appearing around them. Some were afraid, some curious, but most were simply amazed. Sarah turned her gaze to Ryan. This change you began will not go unnoticed. There are powers in your world that prefer humans to stay asleep. They will question what you've done. Rian frowned slightly. Then I'll face them. I can't undo what's right just because it's difficult. She gave him a calm, approving look. Courage and kindness. You remind me of the humans I once knew long ago. Her form began to fade again, the glow around her body turning soft and transparent. When you are ready for your final wish, call me once more. But be careful, Ryan. The third wish always carries the greatest weight. Ryan nodded slowly. I'll be ready. And thank you again, Sarah. As she vanished into the soft pink light, Ryan stood in the middle of the street, watching the horizon where dawn began to rise. The city looked different now, not because it had changed, but because people had begun to see it as it truly was. He walked home quietly, his heart calm yet full of questions. He wondered what kind of path he had set in motion, and what his final wish would bring. Deep inside, he could still feel Sarah's warmth, a presence that seemed to stay even after she was gone. That night, he looked out his window and saw the people of Lumion gathering under the glowing sky. For the first time in years, humans looked up not with fear or indifference, but with wonder. Ryan smiled to himself, knowing that the change had just begun. Days passed after the awakening of sight across Lumion. People began noticing the faint lights in the air, the gentle hum around machines and the pulse of energy in everything they touched. Some called it a miracle, others a malfunction in the city's power systems. Scientists tried to explain it with logic, but no one could fully understand what had happened. Rian, however, knew the truth. He had asked for humanity to regain its awareness, and Saris had made it happen. Each morning as he walked through the streets, he saw people looking at the world with curiosity again. Children laughed as they tried to catch glowing motes in the air. Technicians examined machines with renewed wonder instead of routine. Artists painted the new colors they saw. The city felt alive in a way it hadn't for decades. Still, not everyone was pleased. The leaders of the Central Systems Council, who controlled the flow of technology and information in Lumion, were deeply concerned. They feared the sudden change might cause chaos. One morning, Rian was called to the council headquarters. The building stood tall, covered in glass and metal, its surface reflecting the bright sky. Inside, the air felt colder and the hum of machines was louder. As Rian entered the main hall, a group of officials sat behind a wide table. The head of the council, a sharp-eyed woman named Director Halen, spoke first. "Rian, we've received reports that strange energy readings began near your worksite. People claim to see light patterns in the air. You were there when the first surge occurred, correct?" Rian nodded calmly. "Yes, I was repairing a damaged converter." "There was a burst of energy that night." Halen leaned forward. "Do you know what caused it?" Rian hesitated for a moment. He couldn't tell them about Saris, they wouldn't understand. "It might have been an old system buried in the converter," he said carefully. "Something ancient that reactivated," the council members whispered among themselves. Halen studied him closely. "Be cautious, Rian. If this energy spreads without control, it could disrupt our networks. We expect your cooperation." Rian nodded again. "I'll do what I can." As he left the building, he felt a slight disturbance in the air. It was faint but familiar, the soft signature of Saris's energy. He glanced toward a quiet alley nearby and saw her standing there, hidden from the crowd. She looked the same as before, silver hair shining and eyes glowing gently. "You are being watched," she said softly. "I noticed," Rian replied. "They're worried about the changes we made." Saris nodded. "Power always fears awakening. Those who hold control do not wish others to see beyond what they allow." He sighed. "I thought giving people awareness would make life better. But it seems to have made things complicated." Saris's gaze softened. "Change always begins with confusion. Do not doubt your choice. Seeds of understanding take time to grow." They began walking through the quiet streets together. Rian noticed that wherever Saris passed, the lights flickered faintly, as if recognizing her presence. "You said something before," he reminded her. "That I was chosen by the world's energy. What did you mean by that?" Saris stopped and looked at him seriously. "Long ago, when humans still traveled between stars, some of them learned to communicate with energy itself. They were called weavers. They could sense the flow of life in matter and guide it toward harmony. But over time, humans forgot this connection. Machines replaced their instincts. Yet a few still carry that spark inside them. You, Rian, are one of them." Rian listened in silence, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. "A weaver," he repeated slowly. "So that's why I could see things even before my wish." Saris nodded. "Yes, your curiosity and calm heart awakened what was already within you. My gift only opened the door wider." They stopped near the edge of the city, where the old buildings met the wild fields beyond. The air was fresh and the sky glowed with a soft orange light. Rian turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Saris, you've given me 2 gifts already. But what about you? You've been helping me, yet every time you use your power, you look weaker." She smiled gently. "My strength is tied to balance. Each time I alter your world, I share a part of my essence with it. But I do not regret it. Watching humanity wake again gives me peace." Rian frowned slightly. "Still, there must be a way to help you. I don't want you to fade away." Saris tilted her head. "Your concern is kind. But do not worry. The energy between us flows both ways. Your faith restores me more than you know." Her words made him pause. There was something tender in her tone, something almost human. As they walked back toward the city lights, Rian noticed groups of people gathering around glowing spots in the air. Some were meditating, others sketching, and a few simply watched in silence. For the first time, the people of Lumion seemed united by wonder instead of routine. But deep within the city, unseen by them, the council was making plans. In a hidden chamber, Director Halen stood before a giant screen showing energy patterns spreading across the city. "This is beyond any known science," one scientist said nervously. "It's almost as if the city itself is awakening." Holland's eyes narrowed. "Then we will contain it. If someone started this, we will find them." That night, Ryan sat in his apartment staring out the window. The lights of Lumion shimmered with soft waves of color. He felt both pride and worry. He knew the council would not stay silent for long. He spoke quietly, almost like a prayer. "Saris, if you can hear me, I need your guidance again." Moments later, the air shimmered and she appeared beside him, her glow softer than usual. "You called Ryan?" He nodded. "Things are getting tense. The council is investigating. I don't want what we've done to bring harm." Saris sat across from him, her eyes filled with calm understanding. "You must trust the flow. Fear and control are strong forces, but so are kindness and truth. Your path is not to hide, but to guide." Ryan thought for a while, then said slowly, "Maybe my final wish should help protect the balance we've created." Saris looked at him carefully. "You wish to use your last gift?" "Not yet," Ryan said. "But I know I'll need it soon. The world is changing fast." Saris stood and walked to the window, gazing out at the glowing skyline. "Whatever you choose for your final wish, remember this. Gifts are not meant to grant power, but to reveal it. What you become after this will shape the fate of both our worlds." Ryan nodded silently. "I'll remember that." For a moment they stood side by side, watching the city's lights pulse gently like a living heart. In that quiet moment, Ryan felt a strange bond growing between them. A mix of trust, gratitude, and something deeper he couldn't name. As Saris began to fade again, she turned to him with a faint smile. "When the time comes, call me. The world will listen to your final choice." When she vanished, Ryan stayed by the window, lost in thought. He could feel that the story of Lumion and his own was far from over. Somewhere beyond the glowing towers, forces were moving against the light he had helped awaken. But he also knew one truth. Saris believed in him, and that gave him strength. As dawn broke over the horizon, Ryan made a silent promise. He would protect the balance between humanity and the energy that connected them, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The city of Lumion was changing faster than anyone had expected. Weeks had passed since the awakening of human awareness, and more people were starting to see the patterns of light and energy that connected everything around them. Some called it the glow, believing it was a new stage of human evolution. Others were afraid, thinking it was a side effect of a machine malfunction or a hidden experiment. Ryan watched all of this quietly from his small apartment. He felt proud that people were beginning to see what he saw, but at the same time he was worried. The council had grown restless. Rumors spread that they were planning to restrict technology access until they could find the cause of the strange phenomenon. The air in the city felt heavy with tension. That night, Ryan sat at his workbench studying an old power module. The glow of energy inside it was weaker than usual, as if the machines themselves were sensing the growing fear of humans. He sighed softly, knowing that the harmony he had tried to bring might soon turn into conflict. As he placed the module down, a soft pink light appeared in the corner of the room. Saris emerged once again, her presence calm and warm. Her silver hair flowed like water, and her eyes glowed softly in the dim light. "You seem troubled," she said gently. Ryan looked up, relief washing over him. "Saris, the city is changing, but not everyone understands it. The council is trying to stop what we started. They think it's dangerous." Saris nodded slowly. "Fear often rises when truth begins to shine. The balance you created has stirred the flow of the world. Those who seek control cannot easily accept freedom." Ryan leaned back in his chair. "I don't want people to fight. I just wanted them to see, to feel alive again." Saris walked closer, her light reflecting softly off the walls. "Your wish has done that, Ryan, but every change brings resistance. You cannot force peace. You can only guide it." He looked at her thoughtfully. "And what about you? You seem weaker each time I see you," she smiled faintly. "The more energy I use in this realm, the more I fade. But your faith keeps me connected. Each time you believe in what we've created, I regain strength." Ryan felt a quiet warmth at her words. "Then I'll keep believing." Saris's eyes softened. "You have a kind soul. It is rare among humans who hold such power." They stood in silence for a moment, the hum of energy filling the air. Then Saris turned serious. "Ryan, there is something you must know. The balance of this world is shifting faster than I expected. I sense a disturbance within your city's core, a force trying to suppress the new light. Ryan frowned. The city's core? You mean the central power hub? Yes, she said. It is not only a source of energy, but also a gate between realms. Long ago, when I was sealed, it was this same kind of core that trapped beings like me. If the Council tampers with it, the link between our worlds could collapse, taking your city's life force with it. Ryan's eyes widened in alarm. Then we have to stop them. They don't know what they're dealing with. Saris nodded. You must reach the core before they interfere. But you cannot do it alone. You must find those who already sense the truth, those who have awakened to the glow. Ryan thought for a moment, then remembered Mira, his co-worker. She had been one of the first to notice the strange energy in machines. She trusted him and had always been curious about the changes. I know who can help, he said. That night he went to find Mira at the repair center. The streets were quiet, filled with soft blue light from the city's floating drones. When he arrived, Mira was still at her station working late as usual. She looked up as he entered. Ryan, you look serious. What's going on? Ryan took a deep breath. You can see the glow now, can't you? She nodded. Yes, at first I thought I was imagining it. But it's everywhere. The machines, the air, even people. It's like everything is alive. Then you have to trust me, Ryan said quietly. The Council is planning to shut down the central power hub to stop this. But if they do that, they could destroy the balance of the whole city. Mira stared at him in disbelief. Destroy the city? That can't be true. It is, Ryan said firmly. I've seen things that explain it. There's an energy being tied to this change. If the link is broken, everything connected to it will fade. Mira hesitated, then nodded. All right. What do we need to do? Ryan smiled faintly. We need to reach the core before the Council acts. And we'll need to move fast. As they prepared to leave, Ryan felt Saris's presence flicker nearby. Unseen by Mira, but sensed by him. Her voice echoed softly in his mind. Trust your instincts. The energy will guide you. They made their way through the city under the cover of night. The power hub was heavily guarded, but the faint glow in Ryan's vision showed him paths of energy that led through hidden maintenance tunnels. Mira followed closely, her faith in him stronger than her fear. Inside the tunnels, the air buzzed with static. Machines hummed around them, glowing faintly with life. Ryan touched the walls, feeling the pulse of the city's energy. It's alive, he whispered. It's trying to warn us. When they finally reached the chamber beneath the power hub, Ryan stopped in awe. The massive core towered above them, glowing with swirling patterns of blue and white light. It looked like a giant heart, pumping energy through cables that stretched across the city. But something was wrong. The light was flickering and dark lines of static were spreading across its surface. They've already started, Mira said in worry. Ryan moved closer, placing his hand on the console. He could see the pattern collapsing like a web tearing apart. If this continues, the energy link will break. Saris's voice echoed in his mind again, gentle but urgent. Ryan, the time may come sooner than you think. You may need to use your final wish. He froze. The thought of his last wish carried a heavy weight. He didn't want to rush it, but the city's life was in danger. If I use it, can I save the city? Saris appeared beside him, her form faint but glowing. Mira gasped softly, stepping back in shock. Who is that? Ryan looked at her calmly. A friend. She's been helping me. Saris turned her gentle eyes toward Mira. Do not fear me. I am bound to the balance of your world. Ryan's faith brought me here. Mira's expression softened slightly, though she was still amazed. You're the reason people can see the glow. Saris nodded. It was his wish, not mine. He wanted humanity to remember its connection to life. The ground shook suddenly as alarms began to sound above them. Ryan looked up at the core, its light dimming rapidly. They're shutting it down. Saris placed her hand over his. Ryan, your next choice will decide what happens next. Are you ready to face the balance? He looked at her with determination. If it means saving everyone, then yes. Her eyes glowed softly, filled with pride and something more tender. Then trust your heart. The energy listens to truth, not fear. Ryan nodded and turned to Mira. We're not running anymore. We're going to fix this. As the chamber filled with a rising hum, Ryan could feel the pulse of the city connecting with his own heartbeat. The lights flickered wildly, and he knew that the moment of his final wish was drawing closer. He looked at Saris one last time, knowing that whatever came next would change both their worlds forever. When morning light filled the sky of Solara Prime, Ryan stood quietly at the balcony of his new home. The golden sun reflected off the floating towers and shining transport rails. The city looked peaceful again after years of unrest. The air was fresh, the people were calm, and laughter could be heard from the streets below. Everything felt alive again. Ryan looked down at the glowing mark on his wrist. It was the symbol of the promise Arya had made, the symbol of the 3 gifts. 2 of those gifts had already changed his life. The first gave him the heart to feel again. The second gave his world hope. Now 1 gift remained, and it waited deep inside the light of the sky. Arya appeared beside him in a soft shimmer of light. She looked different now. Her once bright wings were gentler, her glow warmer. She looked more human than before. Her smile was soft and unsure. "Ryan," she said, her voice calm like the morning wind, "you have used the first 2 gifts well. You brought peace to your people and healed the world that was broken. Now it is time for your final gift." Ryan turned to her, his eyes full of thought. "Before I ask for the last one, I need to know something. You said these gifts come from your world's power. But every time you use it, I see you grow weaker." "Why?" Arya looked away. "Every gift takes a part of me. My kind is born from energy, not from time. When we give our light, it does not return. But this is the way of my race. We exist to give." Ryan frowned. "That doesn't sound fair. You helped me, and yet you lose yourself." Arya smiled softly. "Sometimes losing a part of yourself helps others find theirs. That is worth it." They stood there for a long time in silence. The city below them shimmered, and for a moment, both felt the weight of what was coming. Later that day, the Council of Solara gathered to honor Ryan. The people called him the Restorer. He had rebuilt the core that powered the world's floating cities. The machines were no longer in control. The people were free again. Yet Ryan did not feel pride. He felt a sense of completion and sadness. After the ceremony, Ryan returned to the observatory where he and Arya had first met. The stars above seemed closer tonight. He placed his hand on the console and spoke quietly. "Arya, are you there?" The air shimmered and she appeared again, her wings glowing faintly. "I am here." Ryan looked at her with gentle eyes. "I know what my last wish is." She tilted her head, curious but slightly nervous. "Tell me." He took a deep breath. "My last wish is for you to be free. Not as a servant of gifts, not as a guardian bound by ancient rules, but as yourself. You should live as you wish, not as what others made you to be." Arya's eyes widened in shock. "You would use your final gift for me?" "Yes," Ryan said simply. "You gave me more than I ever asked for. You taught me to believe again. It's time I give something back." For a moment she could not speak. Her hands trembled as light gathered around her. The mark on Ryan's wrist began to glow brighter. A soft hum filled the air like 1,000 stars singing in unison. "Ryan," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes, "this gift will erase the bond between us. You will not be able to call me again. Are you sure?" He nodded. "I'm sure. Freedom means nothing if it isn't complete." The light from her wings grew stronger, wrapping around both of them. Energy flowed through the room. The stars outside seemed to pulse with every heartbeat. Slowly, the mark on Ryan's wrist faded away. When the light dimmed, Arya stood before him, no longer glowing with the power of her race. She looked human now, fragile but real. Her voice trembled. "I can feel the air. I can feel the warmth of this world." "Ryan, what have you done?" He smiled. "I gave you what you gave me, a chance to live." Arya stepped closer, placing her hand on his chest. "You humans," she whispered, "always surprise me." Days passed and Arya began to live among the people of Solara. She helped rebuild schools, taught the young ones about the stars, and learned what it meant to be human. She laughed, worked, and walked under real rain for the first time. Sometimes she looked at the sky and thought of her old world. But she never felt sadness. She felt whole. Ryan continued his work with the council, guiding the city into a new age of peace. He often visited the place where the light of the last gift had touched the ground. It had left a glowing mark, a reminder of a promise kept. One evening, as the sun set over the golden clouds, Arya found Ryan at the observatory again. She walked quietly and stood beside him. "Do you ever miss the adventures?" she asked. He smiled. "Sometimes. But I think peace is its own adventure." She nodded. "And do you miss me from before? When I was made of light?" Ryan looked at her with kind eyes. "You were beautiful then, but you're even more beautiful now because now you choose to be here." Arya looked down, a faint blush warming her cheeks. She smiled shyly, realizing that even after everything, his words still made her heart flutter. The stars began to appear above them, bright and endless. Rian and Arya stood together, watching the sky where it all began. As the wind carried the soft hum of the city below, Arya whispered, "Maybe one day I will visit the stars again. But for now, this is where I belong." Ryan nodded. "Then this is where we both belong." And so, the human who believed again and the being who learned to feel walked side by side into a new dawn. 2 lives forever changed by the power of understanding, kindness, and a promise that even the stars would remember. The mark of the 3 gifts faded into legend, told across generations as a story of light, love, and the strength of the human heart. It became known as the tale of the last gift, the day a human set a being free, and both found what it truly meant to live.